Welcome to Healing Beyond the Trauma. My name is Megan Alves. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. And this podcast, I want to break the stigma around mental health and have real, unfiltered conversations about healing. Some stories are going to be raw, even triggering at times, but they're real and they're honest because healing starts with honesty. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, stuck, or like you're carrying it all, you're not. Here, you're going to gain validation, practical tools, and a new perspective to move forward. Because healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about reclaiming your future. So let's dive in. Today, I'm sitting down with Danielle Gilbert. She's a board-certified nurse practitioner and the founder of Path to Wellness. She's a powerhouse in our area of Henderson, Nevada, and is opening a concierge women's health and aesthetic practice in our area of Henderson. She's a personalized wellness concierge that helps women over the age of 40 get to the root of how to feel better, have balanced hormones, and resettle metabolism, as well as restore energy and confidence so that women feel radiant inside and out. She blends over 20 years of caring for women's bodies with a natural first whole person approach. I'm excited to share her today and answer some questions that you guys submitted through Instagram, and also let you know about her grand opening on August 22nd, 2026. Hey, and welcome back to another episode. Like I said in the introduction, I am so excited to share this human with you. And although the topic is about women's health, I want to tell you dudes to stay here too. If you want to learn more about how to support your women, but women, we're going to be talking to you. And let me just introduce Danielle. I've actually known her since our kids were like in pre-K together. And you are a powerhouse, and I am so beyond excited to share you with those that are just ready to get wellness to the next level. And you are opening your own actual physical building in Henderson. And so tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got down this journey, and then we'll definitely go into a fun event that you have coming up this weekend.
So I'd like to start my story off by saying I did everything backwards, but I don't think I actually did. I think I went exactly the way that I was supposed to. It just seems backwards to most. I had home births with my own two kids, which took me on my own midwifery journey. So I became a doula and then a midwife, delivered lots of out of hospital births here in Las Vegas. And then I realized how limited my practice was. So I went into nursing and didn't want to do bedside nursing. It wasn't for me. I liked being on the clinical side. I like to treat, diagnose, and do skills, but also be on the other side with patients. But what I noticed the most was the biggest gap in care. After women have babies to when they're through perimenopause or through menopause, the system doesn't know what to do with them. They go to the office, they have their complaints. We can't get through the list at all in the 5 minutes that we have. And a lot of times we're saying, oh, here's an antidepressant or here's the anti-anxiety. And that's not the problem. Like there's so many other problems. So I noticed that gap in care, which made me passionate about serving this portion of women in life. I then continued on to grad school, got my family nurse practitioner, still did not want to do just family practice because the gap in care was there. I took myself into aesthetics mostly because I come from a spa background and I wanted it all to just work beautifully together. So now what I'm doing here in this business model is radiant inside with your health, wellness, and structure out. So beauty cherry on top with the aesthetics. So you get a little bit of both worlds.
Yeah. And so for those listening, Danielle, family nurse practitioner, and the facility that you're opening, remind me the name of it, Path to Wellness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
good job.
and as you open that, feeling good from the inside out. And if you've been a mom, if you've been a woman that has started to age, if you have women around you in that vicinity, you know how much women change when these aspects of life come in. And I know when I hit, and I was early when I started to hit a lot of kind of like the hormone imbalances because I was a high functioning woman who was
Hmm.
just keeping everything pushed
Yeah,
down.
you're the
And
one that falls through the cracks because you're high functioning. You seem like you got it all together, but secretly you're like What? My labs are normal. Everything looks good. Everyone says I'm good. I must look good, but I do not feel good. I do
And
not
that's
feel good.
exactly for those of you listening, Danielle and I have always thought outside the box. Our kids went to an out of box school, and so health and wellness has always been thinking outside the box for our kids. And then as I got into my early 30s, I was like, wait, what about me? Like, I'm completely lost. I've been helping my kids, I've been helping so many others with their mental health. And I finally got to a functional medicine doctor, and I was what, 33 ish? And she's like, Megan, your adrenal glands are completely off. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, how do I just turn something off?
Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about that. When you see women and you start to see women just feeling off, right? Like that's all we can say because we really don't have a lot of words for it until we really start to sit down with ourselves and say, like, yeah, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. So give me a picture when women are starting to feel off. What does that look like and how do you support them?
So when women start to feel off, it could be a variety of things. But the first thing that you notice in the morning is that you wake up and you feel exhausted from the start of your day. You just slept all night long and you feel exhausted. And then a lot of women hold off on eating. So they're not getting the nutrients that they need throughout the day to survive. So they have a mid afternoon crash. And I'm talking energy crash, meltdown, irritability, cup runs over in extreme overwhelm, right? You're moving
Yeah.
all the parts. You're a mom, you're a business owner, you're running the show, you have parents that are aging, you have your partner, you have friends. The world is falling apart around us, literally day by day, and our people closest to us are also falling apart. So we're all trying to meet one another's needs. Just not being able to get enough sleep at night in the first place. So we get all the house settled in, and then you want a little me time. And the me time takes away from you going to bed or our life of scrolling. I think at this day and age, we're required to do so much more as parents. Our FaceTime as parents is different. We're not letting the kids free range outside all day and come back when the street lights turn on. How nice it was to
Right.
grow up in the 80s and 90s, but that's just not parenting for us. So we don't have anyone
Right.
to relate to on or having the multi-generational household of help. Like we don't have a village in our house helping raise the kids. So I think our stress levels are so astronomical compared to what they were. So when a woman comes to me, there's a laundry list of things that are happening, and adrenals, cortisol, different hormones level, and we're all our own individual puzzle. I think what we need to do with wellness is look at it as a more personalized approach. Your story is not the same as mine. Our labs are not going to look identical. Our histories are not the same. My genetics are not the same. Even to my sister, our is totally different. So our stress levels are different.
Right.
Our composition's different. So it starts with just an individualized look, and then we're peeling layers back to get to the bottom of why these things are happening and how we can tweak from preventing it to get worse, not slapping more
Oh,
band-aids on
right.
top of stuff. Yeah.
That's such an important statement. I've heard clients all the time, like it's almost like an overused motto, like, oh, it was just like a band aid, right? But it
Mhm.
really is the truth that oftentimes we go to our primary care doctor and they tell us that everything looks normal, but we don't feel normal. So you said a lot of important things is that we have to actually, as women, slow down a little bit, right? And like, how am I actually feeling? How am I sleeping? Am I nourishing my body? Where's my appetite? Where's my sleep? Am I doing the things for myself, or am I so exhausted that I'm just giving for everybody else? And when it comes to fill me, I'm just passing out or tapping out or whatever we want to call it. So then by the time we go to the doctor, we may not even have a clear vision of what we need going to the doctor. In my clinical practice, that I hear a lot is, I'm not sure what I need, but I need help.
Mhm.
And as you just went through that list of saying, okay, are you getting sleep? Are you nourishing your body? How is your mood, right?
Mhm.
I don't know a woman who's like, I love to crash out on my family. I love that when my kids ask me for something, I just lose my mind. I don't meet women like that, right? I don't know if you do, but I do not. And and because we don't want to respond this way, we don't want to feel this way, but it's so hard to gain the control back. And so when when we talk about feeling like ourselves again,
I would say the majority of women that come in feeling this like lost sensation, like they lost themselves or they're not feeling good. And so those small things is such a beautiful small start. And I put that in air quotes for those listening that aren't watching because the small things add up,
Mhm.
right? And so when we talk about hormones and we see normal labs, can you give me or and those listening an example when they're telling me my labs are normal, but I'm still feeling off, where would I start to try to ask the questions if I have to go to a primary care doctor, if I can't get a concierge service, what would that look
Mhm.
like?
So, having a little bit more ask on comprehensive labs is the first place to start. So, most insurance will cover labs, but asking to do more comprehensive labs, a little deeper dive on your thyroid, a little deeper dive on cholesterol, a little deeper dive on adrenals, just to see what else is going on. Not everybody will check your vitamin D levels. It's something so simple, but it helps
Huge.
you by having a vitamin D, it helps you absorb calcium. So, those are good for your bone for osteopenia, osteoporosis, those things make a difference, but they're not a standard lab thing, and unfortunately, or fortunately, we have a lot of male providers, and though they're wonderful and amazing and brilliant, they're not in a female's body. They cannot fully understand what we're feeling or why or what should be looked at. And just a reminder, it's not just mental health and we are not crazy. Like our bodies feel different. We're very intuitive. We know that something doesn't feel right and we're not making it up. Like it's real.
Yeah.
And we know when something is out of place, when someone's been in our house, when something's like we know. So we know when we're in our house if something is off. But the start of it is just adding for more comprehensive hormone panel. And sometimes you may have to pay out of pocket, but it's usually not much. If you ask your provider to review labs first, they usually offer a lab discount to providers. So it's just asking before you go to a lab and just pay out of pocket. They offer
Yeah.
providers just all the time. But
And
one
so
lab though,
when you say ask oh, yeah, go right ahead. I
I
was
was gonna
gonna
say
say,
one
when you
lab.
say
Yeah, one lab though, like if you were to able to afford to do a lab for anybody who can actually invest in doing a Dutch hormone test. There's different ones that you can do depending on if you're still cycling or not. Some people stop their menstrual cycle earlier. So just real quick for anybody listening, perimenopause is when symptoms start changing, can start in your early 30s to mid to late 30s and go on until even mid 50s if you're still menstruating. And then you're in menopause after you've not had your period for 12 consecutive months. If you don't have it for 11 months and then you menstruate, then you still have to wait 12 more months for you're actually in menopause. But there's a Dutch hormone test that you can take dependent on. Have you taken it before? Do you know?
I haven't taken the Dutch, but it's just as you say that, it's like just kinda like putting that into perspective of how long this process could
Oh, long.
is, right?
So I was teasing with my friend. It's like it's a second puberty for us. We had our first teenage puberty. This is our second puberty. And puberty can be 10 years when you're a teenager. It can be 10 to 20 years when you're an adult. Nobody talks about
Yes.
it, but I'm glad we finally are. So the Dutch
Yeah.
hormone test it's a urine test. So you do a urine sample 5 different times throughout the day. By doing that, it's catching your hormones as it's metabolizing through your body. That way, it's seeing what's processing through your liver, through your digestive system, and actually you're urinating out. So it gives you a better baseline on how to manage that instead
Mm.
of my new favorite, throwing prescriptions at patients before we have labs. I've
Oh
been
gosh,
hearing quite a
yeah.
bit of people going into their PCPs and they're like, "Oh, just go ahead and start take this progesterone and take this patch." No labs. They're just
Oh, wow.
yeah, I don't know why, but it's like the third person
Okay, so
told
advocate
me
for
you have to
ourselves if our
advocate.
doctors do not have labs
Mhm.
just yet, it's probably pretty important to hold off on medication until we see the labs so that we know
Yeah.
what to take. Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Makes
Because what's
sense, yeah.
happening is over medication. So I had a patient, she was over medicated. She ordered through, I won't say the name of the online medication place, but she had a virtual consult. She got prescribed medication, no labs. And then she was having all this cardiac stuff. She wore a Holter monitor. She was doing cardiac scan, thought she was having a heart attack because her dose of estradiol was way too high, quadruple the dose. Why? I don't know, but I don't know who was managing her medication. She doesn't either. That's why it's important to know who your provider is, to have some follow-up. Very, very important. It's your life, it's your existence, and a pill doesn't solve a problem. We need to figure out why it's happening and then work with the problem to grow out of it.
Right. And gosh, that's so scary to think about labs not being done. So thank you for shedding light on that, that to advocate for yourself, because labs, it's almost like going in and having a broken leg, but we don't have x-rays to see where the break is in the leg, right?
Mhm.
And so let's just put a cast on the whole leg. Like that would be
Instead
excruciating,
of we
and
put a
probably not heal well.
yeah, or we're
Yeah.
just addressing more than we need to. So we're
Yeah.
not sure what that does long term. Like if we're overdoing stuff, the thing with medication and that I learned in nursing school, and you probably, I feel like everyone should be aware of, you take the lowest amount of medication for the least amount of time with a plan of continuation. Like when you start something, you have to have an end in mind. Like
Mhm.
what's our goal at the end? So my thing with GLPs right now, great. You want to be on a GLP-1? Let's talk about what that looks like getting off the GLP-1 before we're on it. So we have a
That's
plan
beautiful.
of what it looks like when you're on it instead of here's a bunch of medication, lose a bunch of weight, and I don't know, good luck getting off. No, we're not doing that. What does your life look like after so we can track backwards on on how to build a sustainable weight loss plan together so you can get off
Right.
of
Which is huge. And we almost have this huge pendulum swing happening when it comes to how we manage our health. I think for the majority, we want more control over our health, but then we
it.
have new medications coming about. If medications are being introduced, this end game in mind, and also having somebody monitor it for safety.
Right.
Um, because you're right, like, I couldn't imagine being prescribed without, like, an idea of what that's gonna look like
Good plan.
from
Mhm.
start to finish, and asking those questions, and I think it is important for us to be able to ask those questions, and thankfully, w uh, thankfully and thankfully, right, like, there's always pros and cons that we're starting to get access to care in different ways,
Mhm.
but if I had to use those type of platforms, going back to what you said, ask for the full panel, ask for
Mhm.
some of those really important hormone tests. And I remember going to my primary care, and she said that they couldn't even prescribe those various hormones,
That's a good
right?
point. A lot of them aren't. And sometimes it's personal. I've been with providers who I rotated with and they don't wanna get into another space. They've learned so much and they're evolving and they're towards the end of their career. They're like, "I don't need to do hormones. I have enough clients that I don't need to learn that part of practice." Or I took a small CEU class and it wasn't so they're just not learning enough and they're not comfortable prescribing, but they're honest about it. They'll just send them
Yeah.
somewhere else, right? But continuity of care is another big thing. It's really
Mhm.
important to pay attention to how somebody is, their behavior changes, so you know when the highs, the lows, and the changes are happening. And I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect when you're doing online care. And I'm not shaming online care. I think it's amazing that it's becoming more accessible. I think it's becoming more
Yeah.
affordable. So please don't hear that part of it. That's not what it is. It's just advocate
Right.
for yourself more. Make sure you're asking questions, you're getting the answers you're happy with. And if you're not, get another opinion, find another place. Like it's not the end all be all. You have options. So definitely
Yeah.
ask. If you can get the same provider, wonderful. That's the best possible scenario. If you can get somebody that's watching and tracking what's happening, they always have your record and you're not starting over again. You don't wanna be first dating every time you go online to get
I know.
yeah.
And that brings up a solid point too, because of course you're one person, I'm one person, and I've had many people, men and women, come in, and if they can't afford our services or we're not in network with their insurance, one of the things that I will often say that can gain power back for an individual is start getting your own data. It's going
Mm,
to be one of the biggest tools that you can have for yourself, so that when
mhm,
you go into the therapist, when you go into the provider, you have some data of you and you know more about yourself. It's one of the I would say one of the best empowerments that you can have, because you have a picture that you're giving somebody. So if you are utilizing a platform like that, that's one way to gain control back, is have your data. Start to track, and please, Danielle, add on to this. But I often say start to track the simple things, your sleep, how you're eating so that you can regulate, what's going on with your appetite and hydration, and then your mood. Check in, and I say like at least 3 times a day. How do you feel waking up,
Mhm.
physically and emotionally? How do you feel like midday physically and emotionally? And then how do you feel in the evening physically, emotionally? And that would give a and then for women, track the cycles, right?
Mhm.
Track your menstrual. And I would venture to say, what would be missing and how would that feel as a provider if somebody had that data for
Oh,
you?
amazing. The other thing I would add, and something I did just for myself to get an idea, is a habit tracker on how often you're moving and what you're doing for movement. Because in our mind, we're like, oh, I worked out 3 times last week. And then you write it down, you're like, oh, I actually worked out once. Or because our days go by
Again, it's so
so
busy.
fast. It's so busy. But by having some kind of accountability of just checking it off that you did it, whatever it is. And I was a big yoga practitioner for years and years, over 20 years in the Bikram yoga world of doing these 90-minute hot yoga classes full max. And it was wonderful, did a lot of great things for me metabolically and for my mental health. But I don't have time for that anymore. So my goal now is to move my body a couple of times a day, whether it's 5 or 10 minutes. If I'm doing squats while I'm making coffee, I started jump roping, but it's not always appropriate to have a jump rope. So I'll just jump in place. That's amazing. What good lymphatic system. I think I
Yeah,
mentioned on your note. So the thing is, when I
genius.
start to
Yeah.
get disheveled throughout the day, if I feel like I need caffeine, a nap, or exercise, I'll just jump in place because I'm like, I need to shake my mood out of me and then just come back.
Love
And it
that.
works. It
That's so
works.
true.
You could
Yeah.
dance. I just
Oh,
want
I
us to
love
feel
those
joy
tips.
again
Yeah.
in, you know?
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
important, and I know that that's always been one of your passions is from a massage therapist to a yoga practitioner and now a family nurse practitioner. Although I've had all these roles that has gotten me to this point, I'm so thankful to have such a vast, like,
Mm,
plethora of, like, whole wellness, and I am so thankful you do too. And
thank
maybe that's why you said you went backwards, right?
you.
But I think it helps give you such a beautiful picture of the body and how the body works. Would you say that that's pretty accurate?
Yes, and the other thing that I've kind of started to notice is, like, I grew up pretty poor. Like, our family was poor, but there were always people that were worse off than us, but you don't know that as a kid, right? But
Right.
I think coming from the perspective of learning how to make do with very little, learning how to be healthy on a budget, learning how to be resourceful when it came to I couldn't go to fitness classes. Like, I remember I had VHS tapes that I was doing workouts, and my mom came down and was like, are you working out? Like, is that what people are doing? I was like 18 years old when I was like, I think I'm supposed to work out. That's like what people do that are healthy. And, but learning from a standpoint of not having much, that when you start to get it, it lessens the excuses of not having time, of not having money, of not having resources. Because if there's a will, there is a way. If there's a desire to want an outcome, there's a way to get it. It's how willing are you to make the sacrifices to get there? Because you
Oh,
do
that's
have
so
to make
true.
sacrifices sometimes, and it might just be limiting how much you have of things. I'm not saying you have to stop eating the things you love, but maybe just not so much of it in a sitting, you know? And
Yeah.
uh, just having a little bit of self-control. The biggest thing though that I've kind of been telling people is I think we're doing too much. Like take this, take that, do this and do these things and buy these supplements and then can we just scale it back and focus on our
Yeah, it's so
sleep
noisy.
and our
Yeah.
nutrition and what's coming in? Like what are you taking in? Your podcasts, your books, your music. What are we listening to? Is it fueling your soul or is it like making you want to jump out of your skin? Because that
Mm,
matters on how your whole behavior is going to be, right? I don't want to live in fight or flight mode. I want
yeah.
to unplug
No.
and be in
Mhm.
silence and enjoy the world that we're meant to
Yes.
be in. Yeah.
And slow it down, right? And I think, on that, I think something that I want to touch base on with you when we talk about support for ourselves and like doing more with less is I've definitely and I'm sure everyone in the health and helping profession yes, we can gain knowledge from everywhere that's coming at us, Chat
Mhm.
GPT. I mean, we can list all kinds of education factors,
Almost
but
too much.
there's going to be, yes, there's so much, right? So then we start doing all the things. And so scaling it back, what would you say on the fact of trying to do pure willpower, of doing things on our own, trying to research on our own versus actual support with a professional?
So I feel like your professional is going to create accountability for you. Because if, let's say, you're in a situation where your partner doesn't agree with your habit changes or your family or your work or whatever your environment is, you have to have some kind of connection that's in your corner. And your provider is always going to be in your corner to support you with tools, with resources,
Yeah.
just motivation and the belief that you can do it. But it also starts with your own personal mindset that you can do it. And you can. You can absolutely do anything you want to do. Seriously, anything. There are resources, there are opportunities, there's information. Like, you can do the thing. You can lose the weight.
Right.
You can be the best version of you. You can be more youthful. You can have joy again. You can laugh and be playful and not be mad or whatever. But you can
Right.
have all of these things. You can have peaceful relationships with people. Maybe not the ones you have
Mm,
right now. There are new ones, but and I'm not
right.
saying anybody change it. Don't do anything abrupt. I'm just saying, like, you can have things in your life, right? You can attract
Right.
what you want. Having a professional in your corner is going to help you get to your goals faster. That's really what it
Right.
is. They're the
Well,
catalyst to help you get to the goals.
you have, and I often say, nerded out in this area, and you've been in this arena for a
Yeah.
long time as we have gone through a lot of changes when it comes to women's health, and it is finally starting to get loud, right? And
Mhm.
there is support out there, and sometimes we have to quiet the noise with where we're getting the information to be the
Yes.
best versions of ourselves. And AI and Google, Dr. Google is going to miss something, right? And so
Oh,
having
yes.
that support is so important. So let's switch gears, as you and I can be on this topic for days and
Right.
hope that we could scream on top of a mountain so the women and the men can hear all the support that you have coming. But I want to leave some time to talk about an event that's coming up. We're recording this a little bit early, and this event is going to be on August 22nd. So if you're listening to this after, her clinic has opened up. So, but let's talk a little bit about your clinic and the invite that we have for those listening right now.
Yes. So I'm very excited. We're opening Path to Wellness on Saturday, August 22nd in Henderson. It's right by Green Valley High School, if you're familiar, off Warm Springs and Arroyo. And we're super excited. The clinic itself is a facility where there's other providers that do. We have a neurologist and a provider that does joint injections and a primary care. But I will be doing aesthetics, hormone replacement, weight loss, lifestyle coaching. And when I say aesthetics, I mean medical aesthetics, Botox, filler, microneedling, biostimulators. I also very soon will be learning how to do pellet injections for hormone replacement therapy. That will be a slow release of hormones, which is also a great option for people that don't want to take
Yeah.
medication regularly, or it just titrates on a more even path. And sometimes if you do a patch, it wears off in a couple of days. So this way it's longer term. Yeah. So continually
Right.
learning, adding tools
Okay.
and resources. But my approach when it comes to aesthetics is I do natural looking aesthetics. I want you to look the best version of you right now. I don't want you to look like another person. I don't want you to have blown up lips. I want you to look refreshed, renewed, a little bit more youthful, but I can't take years off of
That's
your
just what
life.
I
That's
want, right?
that's not what I can do. So, but if you do want that, I have injectors for you. I can send you that
Right,
way.
right. Well, and I love this approach because I think something that is so important is that we do have the opportunity to feel good from the inside out. And Danielle, you are creating a space for women to help them feel better. We can do all the things aesthetically, but if we're really not taking care of the inside, and I'm also going to plug mental health because of course I'm a mental health practitioner,
Mhm.
and we're not taking care of the mental health, which I know you do life coaching as well, which is so important because that mental health component to feeling our best, and then the physical component, and then we have the aesthetics. So
Mhm.
it's such a beautiful package, but the package works so much better when we're actually going to the root, right?
Yes. Inside out. That's why I say radiant inside out. And partly something I'm going to have. So I will have grand opening specials at the event. And I just thought of something very cool to do. I'm going to have a lab package that goes along with aesthetics. So we can like actually get to the root, whether it's GI, skin conditions, things like that. So we're making sure that we're having good skin health. That will make the aesthetics last longer. It's the cherry on
Oh
top,
my
but we
gosh,
want that cherry to
genius.
shine from the top, right? So yeah, I think it's
Yes,
going to be
I
great.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. I'm so excited, and I'm so thankful that you and I were able to hop on this like a short time together, but to share something that's going to be so impactful for the Las Vegas area, the Henderson area, and make sure that you're following Danielle on her social media. She's very active on there. I will make sure to put that in the notes. And again, this event is going to be Saturday, August 22nd from 4 to 7 in the Henderson area. I will have how to get in contact with Danielle so that you can register for that event. But I mean, think about this grand opening, as a way to see the providers that are working in there. She's getting together community providers that are going to be supporting all the things that we talked about today. And don't hesitate to reach out to us. If we missed questions, we tried to intertwine some of the questions that you guys asked, but we're both very active on social media for all of these areas. And when it's not my scope, I will pass it to Danielle. But all of it
And
works
likewise.
so
So do
beautifully
that.
together. So I'm just so thankful. So
Yeah.
thankful to have you on today and be able to just literally scratch the surface on the support that you're going to be providing to women in the community.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you gained what you needed to hear today. Healing isn't about erasing the past, it's about the strength of moving forward. If today's episode resonated with you, take a moment to share it with someone you love, because when we share with love, we help to break the stigma together. If you want to connect with me and learn more about what we're doing over at Mental Summit to break these stigmas, please connect with me over at mymentalsummit.com. Keep showing up, keep growing, keep going together, and remember you're not alone in this.